Good morning from Living Ward Lutheran Church right here in not so sunny today, but sunny most of the time, Bradenton or Lakewood Ranch, Florida. It's good to have you with us today on this day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Yesterday was a good day for me because I had a chance to go and spend some time with my dad on his 70th birthday. Yesterday my dad turned 70. And I have to say my dad looks great, and I hope and I pray that when I turn 70 I look good as he does. And my mom brought down from up north a photo album. Actually, it's an archive of a family album that really shows the entire history of her family. Her brothers and her sisters and my cousins and my aunts and my uncles. And I was looking at pictures of my grandpa. My grandpa, who lived just about 6 blocks from where I lived growing up as a kid. Unfortunately, he never lived to be 70 years old. But as I looked at the pictures of my grandpa in his mid-60s, and I looked at my dad, I thought to myself, before I saw those pictures, my dad looked good. After I saw pictures of my grandpa, I thought, my dad looks awesome. And I thought, what is it that would have caused this man to age so much? And then I reflected upon his life, and really the life of his entire generation. And I thought about the conditions where he was born, which happened to be in a sod hut in western South Dakota. I thought about the fact that he was an immigrant's child and he couldn't speak English until he went to school. And yet, somehow or another, he managed to succeed in spite of the fact that his dad died when he was young and he had to raise his brothers, and in spite of the fact that he really never had a childhood. I even looked at his confirmation pictures in that album, and I looked at this 14-year-old kid who looked like a man, and I thought he never had the luxury of being a teenager. And yet he paved the way for my generation and for my cousins and my brother and I in a very special way. The price he paid was his youth, and I'm very grateful for those sacrifices. Solomon writes that white hair is a crown of glory. And as I looked at what little hair my grandfather had in his mid-60s, every last strand being white, I thought he earned every last strand of that gray hair. He earned the respect that came with that sacrifice. And it's a recurring theme throughout the Bible for one generation to take it upon itself to pave the way for the next generation. It's a theme that repeats itself over and over and over again. And as I reflected upon my dad and the sacrifices he was willing to make for my generation, and my grandfather and the sacrifices he was willing to make for my parents' generation, and indirectly my generation as well, I hope and I pray that my generation is just as conscious of the responsibility that we have to pave the way for the next. God blesses this as a holy endeavor, and I hope and I pray that when I'm 70 years old I look as good as my dad. But I even hope even more that my kids will be able to look at me and my example and my wife's example and say, thank you. You made it possible for me to be where I am today.